what do you think about these big old ham galaxy ass bitches saying they should get free plane tickets because their asses are like 18 feet wide and they can't fit on planes anymore?
You know, like, I don't know if people realize that if you tip this woman onto her side, she is taller than me.
Yes. Look at that ass.
It's monstrous. It is monumentally huge. And it's like, they can't give you enough tickets. That's why they don't give you free tickets. They can't give you enough. There are not enough tickets available.
Yeah. And what I was saying is like people don't understand, you know, when they're trying to like give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Oh, maybe they have a glandular issue or a thyroid problem. You would have to eat literally like a 20,000 calorie diet to just maintain being like 600 pounds. And
dude, when the spaghetti strap hitting your shoulder makes Mount Kilimanjaro.
Look at it.
Look at that boss. Arnold is jealous. That definition, dude, holy fucking hell.
It's like when you wrap up a ham. Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah, you truss a fucking ham.
You would have to eat from the moment you wake up and like just be like putting stuff in your mouth until the moment you go to sleep just to keep that diet going.
They don't realize it. They legitimately don't, because they look down and they see 3 empty pizza boxes and they don't realize that was just breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else I was gonna do. It was like not eat all of it.
Yeah. Have you seen that Dr. Phil episode where there's a sister and she's really thin and she's defending her like fat at like 400-pound sister, and she's like, she actually doesn't eat that much. All she eats is fruits and vegetables. And they're like, oh really? And Dr. Phil's like, well, we followed her around for a week and we documented her diet, and she ate like 3 large pizzas before noon, dude. Before noon.
You have to eat like it. Everybody's in denial about the reality of calories, but it's like the math isn't that hard. And like diets have all sorts of nuanced purposes. I get it. But the basic formula of calories in versus calories burned is real.
Yeah.
And it's something crazy. It's like I think it's every 3,500 excess calories is a pound.
Yeah.
And so if you eat 500 calories over your output per day for a week, you will gain a pound. There you go. And that's the same formula going the opposite way. You need a 500 calorie deficit once, per day for a week to lose a pound reliably per week. And they all just pretend that it doesn't exist. It's like, no, it's just got to be something genetic. Like there's nothing genetic that can accumulate mass within you. You have to eat it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, people will say, oh, well, that may be the case, but I have a thyroid issue. And I'm like, that makes it harder, not impossible. The energy in, energy out still applies to your ass, right? And it's it's
hard for everybody. It's hard for everybody. Everybody's got it tough. Everybody's got the same. Like, it's amazing how many unique problems all sound the exact fucking same.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, I know that, but my case is special. It's like, yeah, you and the next 400 fat people all have the same special case.
Yeah, and then also these conditions apparently didn't exist before 1994 for some reason. Yeah, you go to a beach in 1970 and everybody's got abs and shit. And like now you go to a beach. Man, I went to a beach like a year ago, and I don't even want to go back. But I went to a beach a year ago, and dude, it was like land whales everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, every one of these people on this beach right now could have joined the Barnes and Bailey's, whatever the hell it's called, circus back in 1920s, being the fattest person in the world. All of them could have applied and got that shit.
Do you remember when Homer looks at the scale in The Simpsons? This is in the 90s. He steps on the scale and he goes, 239 pounds? I'm a whale. From now on, exercise every morning. Homer is comically obese at 239.
Yeah.
That's how far we have fallen. Now, for someone to be comically obese, they have to be somewhere between 400 and 700 pounds. And then after that, we're supposed to pity them and give them free plane tickets or whatever.
Yeah, because their asses don't fit in one seat. Nah, dude. And I'll never forget this shit. I think I was flying home from Vegas or some shit. And I was alone, you know, all by my lonesome, tired as hell, hungover. I get on my plane, I start walking back because I always get on last because I don't feel like standing in line for 30 minutes, like on the zoning. So I just wait until it's like last call. I'm like, all right, cool. And I walk on, and I'm walking through the sea of people all awkwardly. And I look at 25B, and I'm like, oh, and it's in the middle, of course, you know. And I look, and it's 2 fucking 300-pound like dudes. And I'm like, oh. So I have to squeeze in there, and their floopies are like laying on my shoulders and my elbows, and I immediately start to sweat because they're so hot and they're warm and moist, and both of them are like doing that weird wheezing thing. And
yeah, this one, the like death rattle, the permanent death rattle.
Yeah, 5 hours on that flight, and dude, my arms were like my elbows, which were under their rolls in their crevices and shit, was dripping
just sweat and filth. Oh, God, it's awful. God.
And I'm like,
they're little thermonuclear reactors right next to you. It's just like, God, just lose the weight, please.
You can cut them bitches open out in the damn on Hoth and get inside of them and live all night if you wanted to.
And you wonder, it's like you burn this hot all the fucking time. You are sweating constantly. How are you not thinner?
Yeah.
How are you not just shedding pounds?
You're burning so many calories right now, but it's because, and you know what? Great point. I was watching Fish Tank last night because I watch it every day, and Airsoft Fatty's in there, Chris, and he's talking to one of the people. Like, I think her name's Letty. He's just talking to her casually, blah, 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 standing in the kitchen, and she's like sitting there trying to talk to him about something serious, and he's also talking about something serious, but he's just doing this the whole time. Just like has a big thing in his hand, and he's just eating it. And he's walking around the house just doing this, and he's like always has something. He's just eating eating ice cream and shit. And I'm like, no matter what I do, I just can't lose weight. I must have a thyroid issue. And I'm like, bro, no, just put the damn Twix down. It doesn't matter if it's the left side or right side Twix. All right, they're both terrible for you.
Behind every fat woman is a trail of fucking crumbs. And like those foil bags from chips or whatever it is, cookies, anything you can shove into one of those little foil bags, like those things are just littered behind them, and they're all wondering. They're like, "Well, I only eat 1 meal a day." It's like you eat 3 meals a minute.
Yeah,
and it's sitting there shoving those circus animal crackers in your mouth.
Yeah, why is there 7 bags of Doritos empty in your trash can? Oh, that was just a snack. And I'm like, yeah, that snack is why you're 400 pounds, bro. Like, and I used to think the same shit. Nick, I gotta be honest. Like, I was that guy.
Yeah.
When I was 24 years old, I lost a bunch of weight when I was 17 because I just stopped eating and I stopped drinking soda. But I gained it back when I got married immediately, and I was like 245 or 50 pounds. And I was like, apparently this is my genetics. There's nothing I can do. And I started losing hope. And then one day I went to the gym and started going real hard. And I was like, I guess I'll eat right because I'm going to the gym and it's hard. And I just ate right. And I don't know why I did it. I don't know what the hell came over me. I did it for 6 months. And then I just looked in the mirror one day. I got out of bed, walked to the mirror, was brushing my teeth, and I looked, and I had like veiny abs. And I was like, what the fuck? And I like called my wife. I'm like, come in here. Look at this. I'm like, look, I have fucking abs. And she's like, yeah, you've had them for like 2 months. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and
why didn't you tell me?
Ever since then, I knew, like, I'm like, oh, well, if I can do this, anybody can do this. But then I'll have friends that are like, man, I really want to lose weight. And I'm like, well, here's what you do. And then they'll do it. And then, I'll see them like 2 weeks later, and they're supposed to be on this hardcore diet because, they're big people. And I'll see them 2 weeks later, and they're just double fisting pizza slices. And I'm like, yeah. It's like Boogie. Like when I saw Boogie I was at the Southeast Game Exchange, and I watched a video from his like the prior week, and he's on this really strict diet, right? Boogie walks into our little panel room because he came after I had a panel, and then Boogie had a panel, and he had like 3 pieces of pizza just in his hand, and he was just like stacking them and just killing them. And I was like, damn.
They don't even realize, like, they're so ingrained, or like they're so like engrossed in fatness. Like, and I'm not trying to be rude about it. Like, I'm not saying, like, I'm not making a disgusting point here. I'm like, they're just encultured in this lifestyle that they don't realize that having 3 pieces of pizza in your hand at the same time is too much. Like, that's fucking weird. That's not what normal people are doing. Normal people grab the 1 piece of pizza, they eat it. They might eat 2 pieces of pizza. And if you're consistently killing an entire pizza by yourself, you might just be a fat.
You got a problem. Yeah. And dude, I remember doing that shit. Back in the day, I would go get a Little Caesars pizza and I'd smash that bitch and play World of Warcraft. And now I'll, if friends order a pizza, we're drinking. Like my buddy Rob was over last week and we were just eating pizza. We were drinking and stuff. And we ordered some pizza. I ate 2 slices of that bitch. And then I just started playing some Mario Party and just was drinking. But back in the day, I'd eat like the whole fucking thing. And that's all I would think about was that pizza. I'm like, oh, I'm going to smash the hell out of that. So it's just about having some damn self-control. And I know it's easier said than done for some people, especially when it's like a habit that's ingrained in your ass.
That's the thing. See, it's the habit. Like I worked with this fat girl for a long time, and she was, it dawned on me why she was fat one time. And I told her, this is why you're fat. Because I said, I always went to lunch early, and I would go to lunch, and my lunch was, I would walk about a mile through the Skyway system. And on my way back, I'd either go to like Barnes and Noble and read for a few minutes, or I'd go to the electronics store or whatever. But on my way back, I would grab lunch and then I'd eat it at my desk, because why waste a good lunch hour eating lunch? Yeah. You could do that at work. So I said, okay, I'm going. And she's like, well, I guess when you get back, I'll go to lunch and then I'll eat my lunch. And I was like, well, you don't have to eat. And she's like, no, yeah, I do, because it's lunchtime. I was like, no, and she's like, I'm not even hungry, but it's lunchtime, so you got to eat. I'm like, no, you don't. You literally do not have to put food into your gullet. And it's just like it was like explaining physics to a child. Like this idea that you don't have to pick up a fork and shove food in your mouth. And I wish I was joking, but this person legitimately was like, no, it's lunchtime. You have to eat lunch. At lunchtime, you have to do it. You just not eat lunch one day. It'll be okay. You'll live.
Yeah. And it reminds me of a situation where when I worked at GameStop, we had a bank across the street, and it was like the closest one I ever had. It was great. And I remember driving over there, and there was this new girl that had just started working there, this cute little Latina girl. And she drove a little Pikachu. She had a Dodge Neon and had a Pikachu.
I love whenever Camelot remembers someone he thinks is hot, he's like, yeah. You just see it, like a little glimmer of sperm in his eye.
I remember, dude. And I went out, and she was a new teller at the bank, right? And keep in mind, I worked at the store for like 5 years. And she starts working there, and I see her, and she's slick looking. And I'm like, oh damn! So I'm like excited, And yeah, look, I'm married at the time, but I still like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see the cute girl at the bank, So I go into the bank, and I tell you what, dude. Like a year or two passed, and you know how bank tellers are. Every one of them were fat except for the new girl. And about 2 years later, I noticed, I went in there, and that girl was like 250 pounds.
Yep.
Because she had been, and you'll see candy wrappers like surrounding their desk.
Yeah. And they just sit there all day, chewing on stuff.
Rest in peace.
I get it. Being a bank teller is boring. I was one. I was a bank teller for a while. And, you got to occupy yourself. Instead of eating, though, you could go do work. Like you could organize files. That's what I had to do when I was a bank teller, and we didn't have because I worked the drive up line, right? And they would have me they had physical certificates of deposit, because I guess they didn't have everything electronically recorded yet. That would be my job later, was actually converting all those fucking physical documents to images. Yeah. But I had to sit there and go through all the certificates of deposit, the physical ones, and find the ones that were like matured, find the ones that were in the wrong fucking alphabetical order, all that shit. It's like, instead of eating, do something.
Yeah, that's what I did when I was at GameStop. I would just walk around doing shit, and I'd tend to customers. And every now and then I had this like guilty pleasure where and I was really weirdly schedule based. I had the same diet every day. And at like, I think it was like 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. I can't remember when. We had these, what are those things? Hot tamales.
Yeah.
Those little bitty candies. And we got them in for some game pre-order bonus, and we never gave them out. And one pack was just 2 of them, 2 little tiny hot tamales. And I'd crack open one, and I'd put one in my mouth and suck on it for like 10 minutes. Then I'd put the next one in, suck on it. And that was my guilty pleasure for like 8 months. And I would do it once a day at like 2 p.m. Yes. And I had this strict diet. And that was when I had like shredded abs. And but it was my guilty pleasure instead of just eating all day, and which I used to do at GameStop because we had a Dollar Tree next door, and I'd get a giant extra large family size bag of barbecue chips and eat them throughout the entire shift every day. I eat a bag of chips a day, and it was like this big. No wonder I was fat as fuck back then.